Hello, welcome to Intentional Community Conversations with Intent Indiana. In this series, we spend time exploring topics designed to share community development resources available through Intent Indiana, including innovative financing and development solutions that create and preserve affordable housing, support neighborhood revitalization efforts, and foster small business development. My name is Devin Day, Director of Bill Fund at Intent Indiana. Today I'm speaking with Andréa Homoya, founder and CEO of Ash Elm Cider Company. Ash Elm opened in the summer of 2016 by Andrea and her husband Aaron after a trip to Ireland when they sampled some ciders that opened their eyes to a variety and sophistication of the beverage. So, welcome, Andrea. Thanks
Hi,
for being here today. Good to see you.
good to see you too.
Um,
Thanks for having me.
yeah. So, to get started, can you share a little bit about Ashenium and why you're so passionate about what you do?
Sure. So as you mentioned, we opened in 2016 and um, craft cider is a pretty niche community, people who seek it out and like it. So we knew from the beginning that we wouldn't be something that everybody knew and loved from the get-go, but I think we were kind of blessed to be small and in the side for the first few years of our company, and it allowed us a chance to kind of figure out our processes, figure out how to run a company, figure out how to make a product that's quality and consistent. And ever since maybe 2021, recovering from the pandemic, we learned a lot of hard lessons in business. But we also learned that we are kind of resilient as a company. So starting in 2021, I think our growth has really picked up, and I don't think that we're niche anymore, at least in central Indiana. People know us and seek us out, whether they consider themselves cider people or not. We've grown into one of the larger cider companies nationally, honestly.
Mhm.
We're in the top 100 nationally. So we're kind of, we're big in a niche market, and it's been kind of a slow and steady growth for us. We have multiple business units, a restaurant, we're opening a second one, we ship nationally. So yeah, that's a little bit about our company and why we're passionate about it. So Aaron, my husband, has more of the passion toward the beverage and the industry itself, cider. He's, kind of obsessed with it. He will try every kind he can get. He does trainings. He meets with apple growers and things like
Mhm.
that. So he has that kind of real passion for cider itself. Whereas I'm a little bit more focused on business and being an engaged member of the community. I'm kind of like a community minded person and always have been. So the passion for me comes from how can how can I use this product to support our staff and the neighborhoods that we're a part of and the city that we're a part of. So that's kind of our dual passions there.
Okay, good. Good. I can speak to some of your passions when we visited your site, and so your distillers, your distribution center. So
Yeah.
it kind of leads into the second question here. So Ashenium, you've been one of our, mm, let's say, one of our oldest borrowers since Bill Fund started in 2015. And
Mm-hmm.
so most recently, we just provided you a loan for a little over $1 million to facilitate the relocation of your new facility on East Washington Street. So, how has the Bill Fund helped your business grow and thrive overall?
The Build Fund has been super important to us over the years. You gave us our first loan for our first tanks way back in 2016. And it was so meaningful to us to have people that we could like run into at the grocery store
Hmm.
helping us start our company. And then just as the years have progressed, there have been a few times where we've had to reach back out and say, hey, we're reaching another phase of reinvestment. We're reaching another phase of reinvestment. And you guys have always been there to kind of be that lender partner.
Hmm.
And then you referenced most recently purchasing the building where our production facility is housed. So, excuse me, we've leased it since the beginning in 2016, but the owner of the building a couple years ago approached us about the opportunity to buy it. And that was not really on our radar. We didn't expect that. So we kind of had a moment of being like, well, is this something we want to consider? Does it make sense for the company? We decided it made more sense to keep it separate from our company. So we formed a new LLC that we purchased the building through, but it was in order to kind of protect Ash Elm's long-term growth, because, you know, when you have a landlord who isn't necessarily invested in your company for any real reason, he could have doubled our rent, and we've spent so much money on that building over the years and put so much into it that would have been, you know, almost impossible to figure out what to do. Like, do we pay twice as much, or do we move and leave all this infrastructure behind? So when Aaron had the idea of like, well, maybe we should actually buy this. One, it took me a while to wrap my head around, but once I did, I thought, you know, that does make sense. Like, then we can keep our rent the same, whether the economy changes. Like, we know that's something that the owners of the building, which is also us, but just a different LLC, will not double Ash Elm's rent. So it made a lot of sense for us to do for Ash Elm. And, you know, because of mine and Aaron's relationship with Intend over the years, we knew that if you guys were into it, you would absolutely be who we would want to loan that money to us. And so again, it just kind of supported us in a way and protected our company from a threat that we don't know if could have ever happened, but if it did, it would have been like a death blow. So Intend has been just like a great partner for us because of those reasons and that history.
Great. That's good to hear, because, you know, we want to provide, you know, businesses with support as much as possible. And hearing your story of why you decided to buy your location is very inspirational to hear. Just to, you know, thinking about the forethought of, you know, wanting to stay and make your expenses as stable as possible as you grow.
Right.
Something that's very important. And so I'm glad that Bill Fund was able to assist you as you, or help in that capacity in any way. So thanks. So yeah, that's what we like to see. So the next question I have for you is, I know you talked about expanding your business and you know, as Aaron mentioned about, you know, having, you know, to move and thinking about those strategic moves. So what's up? What's the next step for Ash Elm? What's coming up the next 5 years or so?
Sure. So the biggest thing that is soon is we are opening a second location in Carmel. So we've had our retail spot ever since we originally opened. We've had kind of the retail side where we sell cider and people drink and eat. So we're opening a second tap room location with the full service restaurant in Carmel. That's happening mid 2024, so June or July. It's under construction right now. People are really excited. We're starting to hire and, you know, buy furniture and all of that. So that's the big thing, but it's also quite short term. After that, once that's open, that's been kind of a long-term project we've been working toward for quite a while now. Once it's actually open and operational, I think we'll probably switch gears back to the distribution of our cider and work on continuing to grow within Indiana, but also to expand our distribution into other states. We've always wanted to be a regional brand, so we'd like to see our cider in Michigan, in Ohio, in Illinois. And in order to do that, there's a pretty large capital investment in more tanks, more, you know, faster canning lines, more staff. So that's kind of, once this new restaurant is open, that's kind of the goal, is to really kind of double down on what we do best and what we're most known for, which is the cider, and get that to really grow outside of our home state, which is something we haven't had to do before. And we're kind of interested in the challenge and interested to see how our cider is perceived when people don't know us personally and don't see us at the grocery store, like I mentioned before. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's exciting to hear. I know it's great cider. I've tried it myself.
Good.
Told my family and friends about it, and they've enjoyed it as well. So I'm sure you'll do well in other states. So I'm looking forward to seeing that your expected growth. So
Thank
um,
you.
well, so Bill Fund's always here to help, and so that's something that we're excited to hear as well. So, and so lastly, as you have been one of our experienced borrowers over time, and we're continuously working with other businesses who are in your growth stage. What advice would you provide to other business owners who are looking to expand? What should they like could be considering? What things do they weigh? What risks did you have
Yeah.
to mitigate? Kind of give me some thoughts on that.
I think that businesses, there are two times that are super risky for a business. The first is when you open and you kind of put yourself out there with the goal that, you know, customers will come. So you obviously you need to figure out whether it's viable quickly. And if it's not viable, you're going to close in the first year, like so many businesses do. I think the other time that it's really risky to run a business is when you have a lot of growth and you have to make those hard decisions of, am I chasing growth at any cost and investing and investing and investing, or am I going to, you know, rein in the growth because I'm a little bit nervous about, you know, the back and forth of it all. So I think for us as a growing company, the back and forth that we do with each other to figure out our, you know, Aaron is really good at spreadsheets. He's constantly working on spreadsheets, and he is kind of unwilling to consider a growth opportunity unless he can like spread the cost of the growth over X number of months and make sure like it will pay for itself within 2 years. So that's like a very practical advice is if we're buying a new tank, which is $20,000, we have 2 years to make sure that that tank has made us an additional $20,000. If it's going longer than that, then it's not time to buy it yet. So that's one thing he does. I think on a larger scale, just kind of being able to think, you know, I think a lot of times people will think that the growth is, the demand is there, but you have to prove it. You can't just be like, people are going to love this, let me do it, because you have to be cautious. And I know that sometimes business people seem kind of cavalier with money and tossing it around and buying things and whatnot. But I think that you're going to put yourself out of business if you haven't really run the numbers and determined whether the investment is going to be worth it. So that's what I would do. I would say find someone who knows how to do spreadsheets and someone who will check your assumptions about how great you are. Because for me, Aaron is both of those. He does the spreadsheet and he's like, Andrea, we are not going to double in 6 months. So find that reality check person and then add 20% to what they think. And then that's probably where you're going to be.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good advice. Thank you for that. So,
Sure.
I think that concludes all our questions. So, thank you so much, Andrea, for joining us today and sharing your perspective. We really appreciate your time and you being one of our experienced borrowers and business owners. We always love having these conversations with you. And so, again, thank you for taking the time today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.
All righty. And so wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning in into Intentional Conversations with Intent Indiana. We hope you enjoyed yourself. And moreover, we hope something we said inspired you to want to learn more about community development, the work we do to connect people to opportunities. So please make sure that you are following us on social media. Just search Intend Indiana and visit our website at www.intendindiana.org. And thank you so much for tuning in.